Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining the Autonomous Systems Showcase. Uh, so we are about to get started just because we're running a little bit 1 minute late. So we'll just jump right in. So thank you, everybody, for joining the Autonomous Systems Showcase from Deep Tech Showcase. Today, we're going to have opening remarks, introduce the panel, and then we're going to have two sessions, each one about an hour long of the company's pitching. Just to give a little bit of background about what Deep Tech Showcase is, our vision is to bring deep tech to the market by leveraging the power of the community. That community consists of startups, tech scouts from the government, and corporations, as well as investors. And all of them want to connect for various reasons. Startups obviously want to advance their businesses. The government tech scouts looking for innovative solutions for their technologies. For their challenges. Corporate tech scouts looking for what's out there, potentially strategic investments, partnerships, acquisitions, so on and so forth. And investors are looking for deal flow. So to anchor our ecosystem of the startups, tech scouts, and investors, we host showcase events, such as this very event that we're at right now. So these are monthly events by industry theme. For example, today's event is on autonomous systems. Last month, we had an energy event, and next month, we'll have a space event. But we have a whole wide variety of industry themes every month. And at these events, deep tech startups pitch to a panel and audience of the tech scouts in the government, and corporations, as well as investors. Aside from our showcase events, so between the events, we offer guided introductions. So stakeholders who join these events and who are in our network turn to us to scout specific tech. So what we do is we send profiles of companies that fit their investment theses or just sectors that they're interested in. And if there's interest to connect with the company, then we make a warm introduction. So that stakeholder already knows some basics about the company's technology and express interest. So it's a pretty good warm starting point, and business often follows. So our upcoming showcases, I mentioned earlier that we have a space showcase on October 22nd. But in November, we will also have our Future of Computing showcase, and we'd be happy to have all of you join those as well. And now a brief word from our sponsor. We have David Furtick here from Eagle Point Funding, and he will talk to you a bit about what work they're doing over at Eagle Point. David?
Hey, Brian, thanks so much for that intro. I don't want to take too much of your time. I'll just give a brief idea of what we're all about. So Deep Tech Showcase is part of Eagle Point Funding. Eagle Point Funding is basically a grant consultancy, and we help companies that are developing innovative technology. Anything in the defense realm, anything in AI, cyber, automation, like we're here tonight, robotics, uh, agriculture, energy. There's a whole bunch. The only thing we don't do is healthcare or biotechnology. So the point is, if any of that relates to what you're doing and you're looking into federal funding, specifically SBIR grants or BAA grants or anything in between, let's get on a call. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how it might relate to your company and how we might be able to help. We do a lot. We help find submissions to that are relevant for you. We help write them. And of course, we have everything going on at the Deep Tech Showcase with Brian and his team. And together we all do great work. So that's all. You can scan the QR code if you want to get on a call with me. And I'm also going to drop my Calendly link in the comments. So that's all, and have a good one, folks.
Thank you so much, David. Highly recommend anybody who's interested book a call with him. He's just a great person to talk to in general. So yeah, even if you just want to speak with him, I highly recommend. Anyway, moving on. So our first session companies are we'll have Agent and then Wang Recoilless, followed by Edge Runner AI, and then finished off by Skyline Nav AI. And for our second session, we have Macrobay, Edmund Scientific, Nightscope, and we'll have Distributed Spectrum finish it off. And here's our panel for the first session. And what I will do is I will stop sharing and I will just go by who's on my screen. And then as panelists on the call, you can just introduce yourself briefly, maybe what organization you're at, what kind of tech you're interested in, things of that nature. So just going by the top, I have Gopal.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gopal Rajaraman. Brian, you can hear me, right? Cool.
Yes, yes, I hear you.
Yeah, I'm
Great.
with Lockheed Martin Ventures, which is the corporate investing arm of Lockheed Martin. We are stage agnostic. We invest from seed to Series A, B, C, but even though our sweet spot is seed and Series A. Uh, I primarily invest in autonomous systems in AI, power and propulsion, and augmented reality, virtual reality. But as a whole corporation, we invest in a variety of technologies that 14 different areas that mirror the 21st century security critical areas. Thanks, Brian.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. Up next, I see Raymond Zhang is on the call.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. I'm Raymond Zhang, joining from Honda Accelerator Venture. So we are focusing on investing in early stage startups, seed A, B mostly, but we also do things beyond that as well. Our investment target are really things around how to have technologies that helps to avoid fatalities in automotive and motorcycles, as well as more related to climate tech, carbon neutrality, and energy transitions, different type of renewable energies, circular economy, cycling of materials, putting a car from a car, and also carbon neutrality for enterprise and factories and things like that. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Up next, we have Brandon Leibowitz.
Hi, sorry, I just got added to a panelist, so had to rejoin Zoom. Hi, everyone. My name is Brandon Leibowitz. I am program director at Starburst. We are a startup ecosystem company. We do accelerator programs. We have a venture capital group, and we have a consulting group. Personally, my background is in automotive autonomous vehicles. So I'm an engineer by training, so I have a decent amount of technical experience in the field. And at Starburst, we run defense and aerospace focused accelerator programs.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for joining. Happy to have you with us. Up next, we have, I see Casey Van Manen is on the call.
Hey, thanks, Brian. Casey Van Manen, senior analyst at LOI Venture out in Vancouver, British Columbia. We primarily invest in pre-seed and seed stage technologies. We're generalists in nature. I personally scout for a few funds that are on the side of enterprise infrastructure and deep tech out mainly in the Bay Area. I'm also involved in a few different investor communities. I have a decently high referral network, so I do try to place companies that I'm interested with appropriate investors, typically anywhere between pre-seed to about Series B. I've been in venture for the last 3 years and in more of an official capacity for the last 2. So eager to be on the call. I've taken a look at the companies on the deck and yeah, excited to chat.
Awesome. Really happy to have you with us, Casey. Up next, I do see Joe Epstein is on the call. If you want to introduce yourself, feel free.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joe Epstein. I am the strategic partnership lead for Lockheed Martin Space. My role is to identify and champion emerging technology from external sources. I do this by owning the SBIR portfolio for Lockheed Martin Space, as well as doing university engagements.
Awesome. Really, really happy to have you with us as always. Up next, we have Jonathan Wu.
Hello, Jonathan, from ITIC, the venture arm of ETRI, which is one of the largest research organization in Taiwan. And some notable spin-off from E-Tree, including TSMC, UMC, AUO, all these semiconductor companies. And usually our sweet spot is around pre-seed to Series A. And glad to be here today. Thank you, Brian.
Glad to have you join us. Thank you. Up next, I see Ridge Flick with Kelso.
Hey, Brian. Thanks. I'm Ridge Flick, go by Kelso. I'm on staff at Air Combat Command. Usually participate in these just to try and help folks make connections in different parts of the DoD that might be applicable for their technology. A-10 pilot by trade, doing my staff penance for about another year. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. And finally, it looks like we have Todd Coulard here.
Hey, Brian. Yep, thanks. So Todd Coulard with Marks Ventures. We're a national security-focused VC firm. We primarily focus on pre-seed and Series A, and we are technology agnostic. Our first fund was anything that goes boom to specific software companies and all the way to advanced manufacturing. So we don't care as long as it helps America win in the next 100 years. But yeah, happy to be here. And my background specifically 20 years in the military, primarily in special operations, working with autonomous vehicles, specifically small UAVs. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. If I happen to miss any of the panelists by chance, just let me know in the chat. And if I did, I am sorry for that. But with that, we will move on to our first presentation. So we have Adrian here, and we have Kenny Lee here to present. So Kenny, whenever you're ready, we'd love to see your pitch.
All righty, thank you. Let me ready. I apologize. I'm trying to find my document. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Let me get to the front. All right, perfect. Hello, everyone. My name is Kenny Lee. I am a co-founder and CEO of iGen, and our mission is to regenerate Earth with robotics and AI. So we looked at the tech stack that is available to us in terms of Earth observation. We got the satellites, the drones, and then we have fixed sensors in the ground. What we believe is really missing as part of this tech stack is what we call terrestrial satellite rovers. Something that is self-sustaining in terms of energy use, that is 100% solar powered, just like satellites. There's a communication stack with the robots actually talking to each other, and then a payload system where it can carry sensors and actuators and close the loop for action. So we built a iGen robotics platform. We call it the first launch Element is the name of the robot. And the unique innovation here is that it is 100% solar powered. So all of the compute system, the motors, they all run on solar. And it is also autonomous as well. And then, of course, it's modular. You can swap out the actuators, the payloads with the cameras and the sensors. And then we also have plans for platform expansion. You could put them side by side. So you put two elements together. What do you get? You get Fusion is the name of the combined robot. And then we also have IP for the solar panel to open and launch a drone as well. We have the prototype of the drone, but we haven't started working on the integration yet. We do have IP around this. So think about like a drone in a box with wheels. So we looked at various industries that we can first start with as a beachhead: environmental, infrastructure, construction for, site monitoring, land management, even humanitarian efforts. Like, can this be used for, let's say, landmine detection and mitigation? Because we could make these pretty cheap and pretty cost effective. But the first one that we're we fall in love with, the industry, is agriculture, because 40% of land use is agriculture, and we could beat the hell out of it on farms like this that you see here, and we could test the hell out of it in various different conditions outdoors. So that's what we did. So the first goal that we're working on is to empower modern agricultures for people and the planet. And about a quarter of global emissions comes from the agriculture industry. The thing is that 97% of land is rural, which means that you have to build a robotic system that can withstand the outdoors. And the problem that we're tackling specifically is weed control. And it is a huge problem for our farmers here in the US, which is a pillar of society. And chemical is not working as well as it used to. So the only alternative is manual labor. But as we all know, manual labor is very short and there's no scalable alternatives. So what we've done here, and this is applicable for not only for farming, but for any other industrial applications that we can think of in the future, is that we built 50 of these in our first year out. And they spent their entire time outdoors for the span of 3 months. So we experienced mud, rain, floods, storms, high winds. It could withstand very high winds. And we tested over 10,000 hours across 3 months with these robotic systems. So one of the use cases is, since we have a camera on board, what can you do with it? Here, what is looking for is good crop, bad crop, right? The crop that you want to keep, the bad, I shouldn't say crop, bad plants that you want to destroy. But imagine the onboard edge AI that we could, that's on this computer system right now, being applicable for different use cases as well. So our roadmap is starting out with weed control. We're moving into AI and data analytics. And then last but not least, we have this vision of terraforming Earth, terraform Earth before Mars. This is a use case of what the robot can do. On the left-hand side, what you see here is a scan of 160 field farm each. And so what you see there is, as the lines are being painted, those are our robots. And these are not computer models from satellite images, actually. These are robots detecting objects that you want to paint and put this in heat map inches from the ground. On the right-hand side are forecasting models on what we see to expect based on the data that the robots are seeing. On the right-hand side is large language models. When you put that over our robotic systems, you could actually ask any questions you want. You can say, hey, robot, what did you see today? What were the plant life stages of the plants? But you could also imagine if we fed different types of sensors, AI models into the camera vision, or it could be humidity, temperature, gas, flux, whatever it may be. You could start asking each individual robots different questions, as well as the advantages, since the AI is on board, you could set up real-time alerting to send a message out from the robot to the central base that you're monitoring the robots from. This is some examples of other generative AI that we're using. Data collection initially is a huge challenge. This is what we did. This is my co-founder at the bottom right-hand side. He's an ex-Tesla guy, really smart guy. But we built these, before we even built the robots, we had these push carts to actually just collect the data. But now we could use generative AI to actually generate these images for computer model training. So on the left-hand side is a crop called sugar beets, where we actually took pictures. On the right-hand side, you just ask the computer, it's like, hey, based on the data that you see, can you generate similar images related to soybeans, right? So this means that we can move from one crop to another crop very quickly. And again, we're talking about agriculture, but imagine can we potentially detect landmines, let's say, as a use case, and then generate those type of images so the computer models can actually see some of these. Again, strawberries, paint me a picture of a human so that we could actually detect, the computer could learn how to see humans. Another human, a tractor, what would a tractor look like? So the images on the right-hand side are all computer generated. The left-hand side is the actual image that we fed into the model. And then we, of course, have a tablet app and a web application that you can monitor all of this data from. We believe that this is a perfect opportunity. The cost of AI, autonomy, and solar is coming down, compute efficiency going up, and we're taking advantage of this. We moved quickly. We raised Series A in end of 2023. Since then, we've built 50 robots. We've launched an app. We've done customer deployments. And now we're in a phase where we've collected all of the data. Now we're looking around, okay, we've battle tested the robots, know what data looks like, what do we do, how do we actually expand, not only in agriculture, but potentially other industry use cases as well. So for example, we're talking to USDA to deploy our robots as weather collection nodes across the US. We got some PR. Ask us, we're looking for non-dilutive capital. That's always nice. Grants, partnerships, and of course, investors. And this is our team. We're very excited. And my email is in the bottom left-hand side if you have any questions. I would love to talk to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Kenny. So the way we do this, as Casey has just shown, is if you have a question, just raise your hand on the Zoom. If it should be under React. If you don't have a React at the bottom of your Zoom, you might have to click a More button that has 3 dots, and there should be a React option that you can raise your hand. Anyway, so Casey, take it away.
Awesome, thanks, Brian, and thanks, Kenny, for the presentation. For the ag use case, when you're selling, is this being sold directly to farmers? Is this going through distributors? Do you have any agreements set with typical equipment or dealership providers?
Yeah, this was our first year out, and we deployed in the Midwest, and they like it as a service, and so we deployed it ourselves. We hired up a team of seasonal employees and deliver it as a service. But now we're talking with customers in California that would like to buy it as well. So we're playing around with different business models.
And from a competitive perspective, are there other opportunities, say, where there's sensors or computer vision devices being built on the backs of tractors or harvesters or any other equipment that's already in the field? And if so, yeah, where does the differentiation on your side lie?
Yeah, absolutely. So you hear about John Deere and Case, just attaching cameras and sensors on the back of their equipment. But the big difference is that farmers don't want to run tractors all the time just to collect data. You want to actually run your tractor as least amount of hours as possible. Just to give you an idea, our entire fleet ran for about 10,000 hours, as I mentioned, but an average tractor runs anywhere between 400 to 600 hours in a given year, and then it sits idle for the rest of the time. So it's not a very good platform for data collection.
Nice, appreciate that. And then, sorry, last question, just the unit economics. What goes into the cost of one of these devices?
Good question. Unoptimized, we spent a little over $20,000 for each robot. At scale, we could build it under $7,000, which is actually, when you think about what we're trying to pull off, that's pretty good, and that's BOM cost landed.
Nice, appreciate it. Thank you.
Raymond?
Yes, hi, Kenny. Thanks. Fantastic. You've done quite a bit on the tech stack. Congratulations. I actually have one question sort of related to potentially the opportunity of Honda. So mapping side, how do you do the mapping? Do you do it via satellite images and then the robot kind of do its own thing? So that's one question. Maybe I'll throw it out and then you can break it one of it. The second one is this is solar based. In this case, at night, I assume that you don't continue to run, or do you have other means like infra or whatever night images that you can deploy so that you can run the service even at night? That will probably increase a bit of efficiency here. And those are two questions, and also have one comment.
Yeah, great questions. I'll answer those in the reverse order. The second one first. So the biggest energy drain on the robot right now are the motors. And so because it's actually not only navigating, but it's also weeding. It's deploying the arms, as you saw in the video, like constantly to actually remove the weeds. If we remove those set of motors that are constantly moving, I mean, okay, let me backtrack. With the motors constantly moving, we can operate anywhere between 10 to 12 hours a day with an battery operating life that we feel comfortable that it can operate through the entire growing season for about 3 months. That's what we already proven out. That you did not need to actually go out and swap out batteries or refuel again, and that's the real innovation here, because you don't want humans doing that in the middle of like a 1,000-acre field. Like farmers don't want to do that. So once you remove, then if you're now just talking about data collection is the only thing that you want to do, right? Then we can operate even potentially longer than 10 to 12 hours a day. And then what you see there on the map, we're generating ourselves. Those scans are coming directly from our robots and then being transferred to our cloud platform after the detection has been done. But what scientists and agronomists and university professors that we're working with is that you do not need that high resolution of a data for at least for crop protection and crop yield prediction. You could do it every like 3 rows or maybe 4 rows, right? And so you're actually taking a sampling. So we could even go further and longer, and one robot can cover even more acres than only when it's weeding.
Okay, and then the second question is about mapping. How do you start the mapping? Did you define, who defines it?
Great question. So we work with the farmers to draw the boundary, and the row crops actually have visual lines that the robot can follow. But also the thing is that they all use RTK GPS data during their planting season. So we actually just grab the RTK data and then let the robot follow that.
That's it. Okay, I understand. Okay, thank you. The third one is more comments that all the ag tech company, that many of the ag tech companies we came across with doing robotics. One of the things is the scalability. It's like if you're going to the ag field, it's very fragmented. Many farms is. I think going to market, it's the service model is correct, but it's like you scale and reach all the customers could be a little bit of challenges. I don't know, in your team, one advice could be to just, if you don't have it already, sort of advisor that very familiar with the ag tech field and deployment. So
yeah, my personal advisor, he's a ex-chief product officer of John Deere. So I'm very well aware of the challenges, and Raymond, you're actually absolutely right. The scalability of not the technology, but the operational nature and deployment is a doozy. We'll figure it out.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kenny. With that, we will move on to our next presentation, which is Wang Recoilless. So, Song, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, sure.
British chair. Oh, and Kenny from iGen, feel free to share your contact info in the chat, and also you do have some messages in the chat as well if you would like to address them.
Okay,
anyway.
I'll take care of it. Thank you.
Sure, thanks. Anyway, Song?
Yeah, so you guys can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hello, yeah, my name is Zisong. I'm founder of Huang Recoilless. So we are an early stage startup specializing in development of automatic recoilless rifles. So it's not just recoilless rifle, but automatic recoilless rifles, and its application in defense unmanned systems. So why we want to do automatic recoilless rifles? Because we see there's a problem with the way a small UAV is being armed. For example, you can see here is Apache attack helicopter with its machine gun. The gun is small, so it can be anchored to the frame on the small UAV. On the other hand, the gun is almost as big as the platform. So recoil problem gets really bad. Here is what you typically will see when you fire a machine gun from the air. Just pay attention to how So basically, this leads to very bad machine gun fire accuracy. So suppliers respond to this problem typically by cutting down the rate fire dramatically. For example, sniper drone is effective. But in all the cases, this gun is not really used as a machine gun. It's used more or less like a bolt action rifle. And we would like to return the small drone back to the age of machine guns. Our solution is an automatic recoil rifle. Because there's no recoil, so when you fire, there's no movement, so the platform remains steady and the aim remains steady. You do not change the flight path in there. So what that does is you can produce a very narrow, accurate cone of fire, machine gun fire, and that is actually performance characteristics of effective fighter or attack airplane like the A-10. So by incorporating a recoilless rifle in a drone, you can look forward to having the kind of firepower that we are familiar with from warplanes. So, and our solution and our core technology is that it's a new kind of recoilless rifle that we invented. So unlike an existing conventional recoilless rifle, which is almost always manually operated, our system is a recoilless rifle that works pretty much like a machine gun. So we have both the advantage of recoilless and that advantage of machine guns all in the same package. So essentially what we do is we introduce an oscillating central bridge block in the middle of this launch tube, which is this portion here. And that enables the bridge loading operation of machine gun that a lot of you are familiar with. So our system is different in that it's unmanned and it's also fully automatic. And the benefit of recoilless rifle is that on a smaller platform, because there's no recoil, you can get better accuracy, and you can also obtain a higher rate of fire on a more powerful calibers than using the existing conventional machine guns. And there are many use cases for an automatic recoilless rifle in defense applications. And I'm only highlighting a few where the recoil is a limiting factor in performance. So that's where you can get the most benefit by going to a recoilless rifle. For example, small UAV and small unmanned ground vehicles and robots are definitely where recoil will be a problem. And a little bit more about us. We are an early stage. We were founded a little bit more than 2 years ago in the garage. Since then, we have been able to validate our technology by building our first product offering, which is a prototype zero recoil submachine gun. And we also been testing its application, for example, in this case, on a small UAV. So on the upper right corner, what you see here is, we believe, is the first of its kind small caliber automatic rifle armed in a small drone. And this system shoots very fast and it's very accurate. And we believe this is a practical way and it's the most effective way of providing accurate machine gun fire from a small UAV. And we believe this technology will enable us to move into the age of machine guns for small drone systems. So in short, there is a new recoilless rifle technology, and it works, and we are reaching out to end user and providers for collaboration and investor for build business around the technology. Thank you for your interest, and I will end it with talk that should be better than a human soldier. Thank you again.
Thanks, Song. So we could enter into questions, but before we do, Song, if you'd like to maybe get the video to stop as
Okay.
the questions are being addressed. And that just be
Stop sharing.
easier to.
Okay, let me stop. Is that good?
Yeah, that's better. So Todd?
Yeah, thank you. So just two questions. One, how much does it weigh? And two, have you thought about counter UAS?
Yeah, number one, the gun itself with its control electronics weighs about 7 pounds without ammo. And so it has about, it weighs about the same as a typical submachine gun, not the micro submachine gun, but just typical conventional submachine gun. Yeah, two, counter UAS is an area we focus on entering. So we see that there are two routes for us to do that. One is the airborne. So basically, just trying to replicate the strategy that people use in the main fighter, superiority in the main air war pattern. So, and we believe that we can provide the kind of firing power that's needed to take down hostile enemy UAVs from an airborne platform. The second route we are just exploring is from the ground. That is, for example, we can envision installing a recoilless firearm on a small platform such as the robot dog, and use that to as the last line of defense on the ground against attacking small UAV in particular. Yeah, those are areas we believe we are qualified to enter.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Anybody has another question, feel free to raise your hand or just jump right in and ask.
Hey, Song, it's Kelso. I've seen your pitch once before. It looks like you guys have done some additional testing. I was curious. I forgot to ask last time. You guys have the patent specifically for the oscillating breech block recoilless rifle, right?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. And then how much does it, I know with scale it'll get cheaper, but how much does it cost for you guys to manufacture one of those?
Yeah, for this particular one, it's a prototype stage. I can only estimate right now. That is, most of the parts we can source from the open market, and there are a few parts that need in-house manufacturing. So I think the bomb itself will be in the range of $500 to $1,000. So
Okay.
it's pretty cheap system, and obviously when you scale up, it will cost a lot less. So the advantage of this approach is that it leverages the existing manufacturing technology and the infrastructure. So it shouldn't cost too much more than a conventional machine gun of the same caliber.
Got it.
And So I think that's the main competitive advantage we have over other recoilless rifle technologies. That is, it's totally compatible with the existing logistics.
And then does it have its own indigenous power source, or does it rely on host platform power?
Yeah, on this particular one that I show you, we are providing our own power source, but it can be easily integrated into the host power because all the control and communication and the power source are redundant. Yeah, we use the same communication, same kind of communication, and same kind of video system as either a robot dog or a drone. So they can be totally, completely integrated into the host system. Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Song. Just want to note that you do have some questions in the Q&A function on the Zoom. Also, definitely feel free to leave, as well as in the chat, and feel free to leave your contact info in the chat. And with that, we will move on to our next presentation, which is Edge Runner AI. So I believe we have Dave here to pitch.
Good to be here.
Whenever you're ready.
All right, great. So Dave Anderson, head of partnerships at Edge Runner AI, and we're all about building AI models, Gen AI, that lives on your device, doesn't need the internet, and is personalized to you. So the Gen AI that most people are familiar with today lives in the cloud. Large frontier models like ChatGPT or Anthropic's Claude require you sending your data up into the cloud, and it's problematic for a number of reasons. Number one, for sensitive industries, especially DoD and heavily regulated, such as healthcare, financial services. You want to keep your data secure, and sending it into the cloud introduces more risks. There's also the constant cloud hosting costs that you pay, as well as the bandwidth challenges that many areas face, and the fact that you don't always have constant internet connectivity. And the final challenge is that while these frontier models are great at kind of general purpose tasks like summarization and helping you write emails, they're not specific to you or your needs. And so that's why we founded Edge Runner. The core team comes from Stability AI, the makers of Stable Diffusion, among other Gen AI models. And we raised our seed round with Madrona and Four Rivers Group earlier this year. And we're all about building personalized AI that can run on your laptop, your computer, mobile phone, other edge devices. Any operating system only needs 8 gigabytes of RAM. And we specialize the AI models to you. So I'll actually show a live demo here of a persona that we built. This is for, we built this for Major General Purdy with the US Space Force. The challenge that he faces is that there's constant turnover amongst his acquisition specialists. And they have to reference so many different documents to do their job properly. You know, it's thousands of pages. I mean, this model here is referencing the entire 2,000-page federal acquisition regulation. It's referencing the Air Force Fundamentals of Acquisition Management, or FAM textbook. We actually worked with the instructor of that course to put this demo together. And the idea here is that it can help a new person in acquisitions just do their job better. And so we took a 7 billion parameter model that our team built. For context, GPT-4 is about 150 billion parameters. So that's how we're able to just run this locally on my machine, is because we have a much smaller but very efficient model for its size. And so I'm asking it a question that comes from the FAM course about a hypothetical tactical laser attack system, and give us advice on what contract structure we could use to manage technical risks and also keep the cost predictable. And you can see here, it's giving us a pretty decently paced answer. Again, this is running all locally on my computer here. I have a 3060 Ti GPU, which is nothing particularly fancy, but if you don't have a GPU, it can work on CPU only. And so it's giving us a couple of different ideas of how we mitigate risk. And the key piece here is that it's referencing this 2,000-page FAR in the FAM textbook, and it gives you citations of where it pulled the data from. So you can actually verify and trust the model's answer and say, okay, here's where it is. Here's how I know that the model is telling you the truth. And the cool part about the model is that because we trained it to think like an acquisition specialist, it can actually do more than just regurgitate data. It can actually comprehend and think the way someone in the Air Force or Space Force would think. And so I'm going to challenge it a little bit here, and we'll throw some acronyms there. So ask it about different contracts that are appropriate for different phases of acquisitions. So EMD is kind of the early phases while you're still doing engineering, manufacturing, development, prototyping. Costs are way less predictable, versus FRP is full rate production, where costs are more predictable. And so the model has to actually think and reason and say, okay, what do these acronyms mean? And then based on that, what are the different contracts that are available and which ones are the best options based on those phases? And so you can say, for the early phases where costs are less predictable, a cost plus fixed fee contract would be suitable, where there is still that flexibility to incentivize the contractor to meet certain performance criteria and innovate a little bit, versus when you get to full rate production and exactly how much the item costs, that's when a firm fixed price contract makes more sense. And in talking with the FAM instructor who worked with on this model, he clarified that getting answers like this can take his students several hours because of all the documentation that they have to comb through. And we were able to do this in just 30 seconds here, as you saw. And this can easily be adapted to all kinds of different AFSCs or SFSCs or Army MOSs, all the different specialty codes that have different areas of focus. We can adapt these models and let them live right on your device and not need the internet. And we also did this for the Space Force. We presented at Stanford a persona that helped with ground station scheduling. In this case, it was 10,000 PDFs, 500 million tokens that, again, lived on a device, helped new Guardians with understanding how to schedule satellites based on proper doctrine. Our answers were compared with GPT-4o Mini, which was given the same information. And the Space Force operators we worked with actually deemed ours superior. And again, it was completely air-gapped, so they didn't have to worry about data privacy or security or the hosting costs or bandwidth challenges. These are all things that they run into. And so, if you have any interest in a solution tailored to your needs, please feel free to reach out. We're, as I said, a great fit and have a great focus right now on DoD and heavily regulated industries. And my email's at the bottom there. I'll drop it in the chat. And we have a few minutes for questions. Yes, sir.
So how did you train your model? I mean, my main impetus behind that question is how do you, handle potential hallucinations and things like that?
Yes, so we actually took an open source 7 billion parameter model, and then our research team performed direct performance optimization, as well as some additional fine tuning on it. And then we measured it on the Arena hard benchmarks, and it performed comparable to Llama 3 7dB, a model 10 times the size. So we have the research team that specializes in building really efficient models for their size and then tuning them for specific tasks. And then the engineering team that has the software stack that can run on any hardware, any OS. And then as far as hallucinations, so how we tackle that is, number one, by referencing the data that was used in providing answers. And number two, we can showcase the data set that was used to train the models to customers so that they understand the potential biases. And we're not injecting system prompts like many of the the large model providers are that force the models to think and kind of along their beliefs. We can structure it so that it thinks like you do. And so you're not getting someone else's biases in your AI, which is really important.
Cool. Thanks, Dave.
Yep. Casey?
Thanks for the presentation, Dave. Just a quick question. What are your compute costs comparative to what other people are using for solutions?
Yeah, so we don't have to pay for cloud hosting costs. This just runs on your computer. And so the compute costs are whatever it costs you to run your computer, source it, your electricity, et cetera. So you don't have to pay someone else's cloud bill to do this. Only need 8 gigabytes of RAM. If you have a GPU, that's great. We can run larger models. It'll run faster. But if you only have a CPU, that's fine. We can still work with that.
So maybe from a traction snapshot, where's the company at in terms of progress on the product itself, and then maybe with potential customers and revenue in that?
Yeah, so we have a shippable binary today that customers can try out. We're working on early POCs, as I mentioned, with the Space Force. So we have both the acquisition persona and the ground station scheduling persona. We are also working with the edge compute provider Kachengo and providing models that will ship with their devices. They've agreed to pay us $2 per month per device fee, and they're starting their shipments in December. We have some additional contracts that we're working on, which I can share more details on offline with you if you're curious about that.
Sure. Thank you.
Raymond?
Yes, I assume this also works for enterprise customers. what's your plan to go beyond the defense today? And also, second question is about dependency. You mentioned you are working with some edge computing partners. So are these dependencies? Is it like you have to really count on them for your stuff to work?
Yeah, so first question as far as enterprises. So we partner with value-added resellers and distribution. So the ones that are supplying enterprise laptops and full stack solutions, full service, full software solutions to enterprises. We are a SKU that they add to their catalog. And so we license our product as a per device per month fee. What that does is it gives them access to use our product, but also, as you may know, AI models need to be retrained every 3 to 4 months or so, and we push out quarterly updates to make sure that they always have the latest up-to-date models. And then I think your second question was as far as dependencies. And so the only thing you need to do is run the binary on your computer. As long as you have 8 gigabytes of RAM or more, it'll work. It'll actually, the software downloads your computer, it assesses the available GPU, RAM, kind of system specs, and then downloads the appropriate size models from an online repository for you to run. And then there's no additional dependencies beyond that. The RAG and the document ingestion is all built into the binary.
So what is this edge computing partnership you were talking about?
Oh, so with Kachengo, so they build edge compute devices. So think of it as like kind of edge cloud nodes where they have small GPU boxes that you can just plug into your buildings. And so we're shipping our models on their devices as well to just give more functionality at the edge.
Okay, great. So that's all the time we have actually. But thank you so much, Dave. That was a great presentation. And please leave your contact info in the chat if you'd like to have people be able to reach out to you. With that, we'll move on to our next presentation, which is Skyline Nav AI. And we have Conwar here to present.
Great. Yes. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. Well, hi, my name is Kanwar Singh with Skyline Nav AI, and we are building a GPS independent navigation system. So our primary navigation system has 4 main issues: accuracy, availability, continuity, and integrity. I live in Boston, and there's about 4 billion people around the world who experience urban canyons. So you may have seen either your GPS signals bounce around or you see this big blue circle and you can't really figure out where you are. This also happens in mountainous regions and regions with complex terrains. And so this is a huge problem when you think about the future of autonomy and mobility. The other big problem is GPS spoofing, jamming, denying, and disruption that we're seeing right now in Ukraine. And so Russia has been quite effective at taking out GPS over there, and that's obviously impacted the economy. I'm also an Army officer in the U.S. Army National Guard. And so when my troops and colleagues have deployed overseas, they've experienced some of this. Israel, there has been instances of spoofing going on, right? Because Israel doesn't want GPS being used for it to be attacked, right? So there's huge issues with how GPS is set up architecturally, and that causes huge issues and vulnerabilities on both the military side and also commercially. At a high level, and these are US numbers, but you can extrapolate worldwide. But if we were to lose GPS on a large scale here at home, $55 billion in economic losses in the first 30 days with no GPS. Every single sector of our economy, to include public safety and rideshare and delivery services, military operation, precision agriculture, they'll all be impacted with no GPS. Kind of scary, right? So that's what brings me to Skyline Nav AI and what we are doing, which is providing a superior alternative to GPS in areas it cannot reach and augment GPS where it's failing. We are doing this already on land, air, sea, and we hope to also do it in the space with no GPS, cellular, or Wi-Fi connectivity needed on the edge. So we have a simple yet game-changing product called Skyline Match AI. The way this works is using a camera on a car, truck, drone, aircraft. It can simply take a picture, understand what's in it, do a pixel by pixel analysis, and compare that with pre-computed and preloaded satellite data sets. Our goal is when you're lost, Skyline Match AI gets you back on track. Here's the future of a GPS independent navigation system that we're building. So imagine you have a car that's in a garage that's connected to the internet. It'll download our capability along with the satellite reference data sets. Takes a few minutes, and it only needs to happen every 6 to 12 months. And now when your car starts driving, using the camera on the car, it'll take in real-time skyline and terrain features and give you location back with or without GPS. Same thing can be done on the drones. So you would download our capability before you take off on a mission, along with the satellite datasets. And then the camera on the drone will take in real-time skyline and terrain features and give you a location back with or without GPS. Here's how we can fuse with different sensors that may exist on a car, drone, truck, aircraft, etc. So you see, modern day cars, trucks, drones, etc. have a lot of different sensors to include inertial and LiDAR and dash cam, among others. Our capability can easily fuse with these other sensors, so you have that end-to-end position and navigation in all different types of environments. Here are all the different computer vision models that we have to kind of give you a behind the scenes look here. So this is primarily, what you're seeing on the left is for drone, and then on the right is primarily for ground-based applications. So let's say you have a drone that's flying. Well, we start off with a 2D model-based approach. So it's going to be able to look in the aerial imagery and distinguish, water from trees, from forest, and other areas, and then be able to give you a precise location. And then when you start to approach land, we have 3D computer vision models that are able to do a more 3D depth analysis and handle more different varied terrain types. And then when you're on the ground, we have a skyline terrain-based model approach, and also semantic localization, which feeds into the whole pixel by pixel analysis. If you go to our website, we have made our API publicly available that you can access and play with and explore the city of Chicago. And you can actually compare the results of the imagery using our capability against Google's results in Chicago. So imagine the possibilities of not being lost, right? So if you have GPS and it's really poor, it's jumping all over, we can help correct that simply by using the camera, and we can get you within 5 meters 95% of the time. And here's an example of our capability in action in New York City. So you're in New York City and you're lost. So the camera on the car, truck, drone, etc. can just take in visual features around you and get you within 5 meters 95% of the time. And the beauty of what we have done is made these foundational models and our capability accessible so it can actually run on the edge. And so there's a lot of secret sauce behind the scenes with how we do all of that. But it's a software-based technology, so we can work with a lot of different hardware configurations, which I'll actually highlight shortly with some of our existing clients. But our capability has proven effective in 40 regions around the world. And if there's areas of interest you're interested in, reach out and I'm happy to speak with you. And we've published all our results on our website as well. We also won NASA Space Challenge. So we're very excited about helping the United States win the next generation of space race. And so our capability can be used for precision landing on the moon, but also navigating on the lunar surface. So in addition to deploying our capability on the moon, we're also interested in autonomous vehicles and AR headsets. But right now we're focused on integrating our capability on drones, ground vehicles, and handheld devices. Our business model is similar to the Shazam music app. So just like Shazam helps you figure out the song that you can't get out of your head, we help you figure out where you are simply by taking a picture. So we have 3 main products through which we are commercializing our capability. We have an iPhone app that's available in the App Store. We have an Android Tactical Assault Kit plugin for US military use. But the product that's generating the most excitement in the marketplace is our API and SDK. We realize customers have many different position navigation products that they're using. And so they're looking to fuse their existing GPS and inertial and other types of sensors with our capability. And our API and SDK allows you to do that. So we are focused as a dual use company on not just the US military and our allies, but also on logistics mapping and automotive sectors as well. And the thing I want to highlight is our strong traction we've had with the US military and NASA and many different organizations. But I also want to highlight 2 main organizations that we've been working with this year, including BAE Systems. I think there's some folks from BAE Systems on the call, and I'm very appreciative of our strategic partnership with them, but also Kearford Corporation. I'm also pleased to share we were at Move America conference this year, which is a premier mobility conference in the United States. And we actually came in first place yesterday in Austin, Texas. And we just issued a press release on that. So please take a look. And we're very excited to be partnering with a lot of different automobile OEMs to deploy our capability and get it out on passenger cars, hopefully in the next 2 years as well. But here's the 2 use cases I want to highlight of how customers are using our capability right now. So BAE Systems has one of the industry-leading EOIR cameras. And so it's used primarily to see what's happening around you at nighttime. And what we've been able to do is take the feed from that and also help you position and navigate. So the same sensor can now be used not just for nighttime operation, but also for position and navigation in areas with GPS challenges or complete denial. We have another strategic partner with Kearford Corporation, one of the pioneers of inertial sensing technology, and they can use our capability to correct the IMU drift problem. And then finally, here's our team. Our team has deep background expertise in military intelligence commercialization. And look, I think we need to move beyond GPS, and that's where Skyline Nav AI can come in. So I'm eager and excited to work with many different people on this call. So please reach out. My contact information is here, and I'd love to work with you to make our infrastructure more resilient to GPS jamming, spoofing, and denying. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. So open the floor to questions. And first up, we have Gopal.
Hey, Kanwar, great presentation. Do you have any IP or patent protection related to your technology?
Yes, we have several patents issued and pending, but we protect our IP through trade secrets mostly.
Okay, and I know that there is a few other companies, trying to use computer vision for, navigation and so on. So, how do you compare with like some of the others out there?
Yeah, look, there's definitely many companies that we certainly want to collaborate with them. I do believe when you think about companies with the foundational models and the leading foundational models in this space, people have actually published results. I think that's where we certainly distinguish ourselves. So we've been very open with that. I talk to companies and they never want to share their results. So that makes me question, how good their foundational models are in this space.
Cool, thanks.
Sure.
Great. Joe?
Yeah, great presentation, Kanwar. Congrats on all your successes with Cyber and your partnerships. Are you finding any, what is right now holding your company up? Have you been able to demo in space yet? Or have you already worked with spaceborne sensors that have taken that information?
So we have a terrestrial application. We don't
Sure.
really take in, we don't have any space use. You can't use our capability to position navigate in space. You could do it for lunar landing and navigation, and
That's what I was, that was what I was
Right.
working with. So yes, so I was just worrying how far away that is, and is that part of
Yeah.
your, do you have a partner there yet?
We do not, and we're certainly in discussions with NASA and a few companies, that are looking to do and take our capability on the moon and Mars. But certainly, there's an interest. Please reach out, and happy to learn more.
All right. Awesome. And Casey?
Thanks, Kanwar. A bit of a higher level question. Out of all the verticals that you're in so far, which one represents the biggest opportunity, both from a sales perspective, in terms of being able to get into sales more quickly, but then also from a reception or opportunity perspective of how big the market could be potentially for this?
Sure. Well, we look at two verticals, ground-based and air. And so in the ground side, there's use cases on the military side, but also commercially. And so I spend a lot of my time with customers, both on the military side and commercial side. So we're talking to many companies right now, primes, but also directly the military itself that wants to deploy our capability directly on the platforms they own. But again, I also want every single person to have a passenger car, leveraging the camera, taking information, and give you location. And that's obviously automatically fused with GPS and inertial and other sensors they may have on a car. There's great applications on the ADAS side and autonomy, and so we're very excited about the future there. On the air side, drones, we focused on small USs, and so because of the API SDK and the form factor, it's suitable for integration. It doesn't require that much compute, and so we're talking and interested in working with drone companies that have a great drone platform, but they don't necessarily have the ability to position and navigate their drones in GPS denied environments. So that's where we can come in and provide our API and SDK for integration into that category as well.
Thank you.
Of course.
Awesome. Kelso?
Kanwar, great presentation. The first question that came to mind when you said no Wi-Fi, no cellular was how much storage do you need to keep the data on a device? Just call it like for one use case that you've done for a large city, something like that. How much storage did you need?
Yeah, absolutely. The testing we have done in Boston, for example, it was about 0.5 gig. So that covered the entire greater Boston area, right? 10 square kilometers. And so it doesn't require that much storage. That's the beauty of what we have done, sir, is we have broken down these data sets, which are large and humongous, into smaller form factor, and we remove a lot of extraneous stuff that you don't necessarily need. And that's part of our, secret sauce. And That's what makes this all possible, because what we're doing is we download these data sets ahead of time, and we're doing the localization on the edge. And the goal is to get you quick localization, right? So even let's say you're using a Jetson Nano, we can give you a result back in a second. If you're using a Raspberry Pi, we get you back in 10 seconds. So yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kanwar. That was a great presentation. Please leave your contact info in the chat so that people could also reach out to you following this event. So if anybody's interested in learning more about their technology, feel free to reach out to Kanwar. And with that, we will move on to our next presentation. And that is in our second session, technically. So we're a couple minutes behind. So what we'll do, instead of having the panelists introduce themselves right now for the pitches run, is we'll have the company's pitch, and then we'll have the panelists introduce themselves before asking a question, just to be a bit more efficient on the timing. So with that, we'll jump right into the next group of presentations. So we have Macrove here. We have Matt here to present. So Matt, whenever you're ready.
Yes, good to meet you. So I'm Matt Lubinsky, Director of Business Development at Macrove. A little bit about us to start. We've been in the material handling space for over 40 years now, installing systems for companies like Amazon, FedEx, and Walmart. In the last 3 years, we've started to focus on designing and building advanced robotic systems, basically just to address all of these critical gaps we found within the industry for civilian purposes and defense purposes as well. So going into these systems we designed, first we have our mobile warehouse system. That's those two pictures you see on the upper right. So this is a completely autonomous warehouse system that's built on a rugged trailer for mobile operations. So what it consists of is a 6-axis robot arm that inducts materials into bins, which are then stored on racks via autonomous guided vehicles. So when a material is selected through our AI-powered warehouse management system, the AGV identifies the correct bin, knows where to go, picks it up, and brings it to a picking station where another vision-based 6-axis arm will pick up the requested number of selected materials and then kit them into a final bin. We have our autonomous warehouse that uses the exact same 6-axis AGV WMS-based system of the mobile warehouse, but this one's going to be fixed. So for much larger systems, for instance, in a 10,000 square foot facility, we can store up to 8,000 SKUs and create a very high throughput of 8,000 picks per hour. Next, we have our mobile sorting system. Those are the two trailer-based systems you see on the bottom right. So this is built within a rugged container, and it utilizes robots, the same AGVs, to retrieve bins on racking that are selected through a AI-powered dashboard. So the size of the container is scalable. This can fit in a standard shipping container, in a box truck, a 53-foot tractor trailer, really any size needed based on how many SKUs you have to store. The system also has scales built within it, so it tracks inventory usage, so it kind of helps with real-time returns and replenishment needs. And then lastly, we have our automated stores. So this basically is the exact same system that you see in that sorting trailer. This one, of course, is going to be the fixed, much larger. And our robots use swarm technology. So and when you're kind of dealing with dozens of robots, they're really able to navigate around each other, not run into each other and go around obstacles. So the video you see there on the right, that's going to be our mobile warehouse. Some civilian applications we're looking at here. So holiday and peak seasons. So these mobile warehouses can be deployed based on real-time demand. So businesses can scale their storage and distribution operations really dynamically. For instance, with holiday seasons, the system is really ideal for handling demand surges, returns, temporary needs without any needs for long-term infrastructure investment. Optimized delivery. So for the sorting systems inside of those trucks or delivery vans, businesses delivering specific orders to stores, such as like a snack company delivering to a convenience store or gas station, those orders can be pre-kitted using the autonomous warehouse, eliminating the need for manual picking on pallets within the truck bed. And then with the mobile sorting system within the truck bed, those binned orders can be retrieved via AGVs in the truck. So it drastically reduces delivery times, allowing more routes on the stop. Last mile delivery, this is a really big one. So the mobile warehouses can be positioned closer to end customers customers, optimizing last mile delivery, reduces delivery times, overall enhancing customer satisfaction. And by being closer to those consumption points, transportation costs like time and fuel can be minimized as well. Market testing is a big one. So businesses can quickly enter and test new markets by deploying these mobile warehouses. So that mitigates any risk of permanent investments in unproven locations, not having to build a warehouse in some place that hasn't been proven yet. But basically, overall, these autonomous systems provide customers with the ability to reduce human intervention. Most of the time, only one person is needed to oversee these systems. And they can also be implemented in drastically smaller spaces while providing higher SKU, pick, and uptime levels. So we did some market research basically on how these autonomous warehouses compare to the traditional hard automation. I won't go through all of these, but those green data points are the positive as far as autonomous warehousing. Yellow are the negative for hard. This is something I can distribute after the call, but it really goes to show how using autonomous warehouses drastically improves operations based off of the hard autonomous. Next, military applications. So the video you see on the right, that's going to be our mobile sorting in the trailer. Some of the applications for military base supply management. So by automating the storage and retrieval of spare parts, tools, and equipment, we can improve inventory management, ensuring readiness by maintaining a steady supply of essential items and reducing the time for manual inventory checks. Deployment operational support. So these mobile warehouse systems can be deployed alongside units to support operations in remote or temporary bases. This provides rapid setup and efficient supply chain management in forward operating locations, reducing the logistical footprint and enhancing operational agility. MRO operations, this is actually one we're looking at in a pre-proposal phase. But the automated systems can streamline the MRO process, reducing aircraft downtime, ensuring quick retrieval of necessary parts, and enhance overall maintenance efficiency. Munitions handling and storage. So this enhances safety by minimizing human interaction with hazardous materials, ensures efficient and secure transport, and provides quick access to mission-critical munitions during combat or training. And then finally, humanitarian and disaster relief. So with the deployment of mobile warehouses to support relief operations, we can ensure efficient distribution of essential supplies like food, water, medical supplies, shelter, and support rapid response to humanitarian crises and enhance military capability to provide that timely aid. All right, so the next page. Overall benefits. So all these systems are entirely configurable, providing enhanced flexibility and scalability. You tell us how many SKUs you need, how much space you have, how many picks per hour you want to accomplish, and we design the system based off of that. These all reduce capital investments. So like larger warehouse space, you don't need to rely on that. You can pull this trailer right up to any space needed and move any materials you need. They lower operational costs with the reduction in personnel and space. The enhanced material tracking virtually eliminates lost material and also helps to reduce stockouts and overstocks. The reduction in delivery vehicles, long routes, and enormous footprints of these warehouses also is sustainable compared to traditional systems. All the systems can integrate with legacy warehouse management systems or existing automation. So you don't need to use our warehouse management system or robot control system. We have open API that can integrate with any legacy system you have. And then finally, we have advanced data collection with machine learning to help optimize operational efficiency. So all of these systems really optimize and get better over time, the longer you run it. Thank you very much. I know it's a lot to go over in 5 minutes, so any questions?
Thank you so much, Matt. So yeah, opening the floor to questions, and we have our first question from Han Ko. Han?
Hello, hi, Han Ko here. I guess I'm supposed to introduce myself, right? So my name is Han, and like Han Solo, right? Easy to remember. A company called USACO Group. What we do is we're international venture capitalists, so invest in companies. We have a base. What's unique about it is that we have a base all the way to in Asia as well. Okay, we mostly operate in USA, but anyway, good presentation, and I really like your solution. And can you tell me a little bit more about your IP intellectual property status, and also is your product currently in use now by a customer or anything? Or also, I want to say that I really liked your option for open API that you have availability. So
yeah, so our warehouse management system, robot control system, everything was developed in-house. So all that API is ours. We actually just launched these systems in March. I don't know if anyone attended Modex this year, but that was kind of the grand unveiling of this system. So it's only really been out in the market for a couple months now. We are in two proposal phases, one with the large North American bakery and one of the major defense companies. But we do have the system actually running at our warehouse in Atlanta. So both those systems, the mobile warehouse and the sorting system, are there basically to demo. And what we've been doing is, if any company is interested in it, we buy their product and basically show them live how their product would move throughout the systems.
Great. Yeah. Maybe perhaps you can chat a little bit offline. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Oh, okay. I see a question. How do you charge your AMR in a mobile truck trailer? So with this system, we designed it to actually have the AMR charger within the truck bed. We have been using solar generators to bring power if it's remote. All of these systems, though, can be plug-in if it's close to like a warehouse. It can just be standard plug-in to run the systems. But we've been using solar generators, which are able to really run the system for hours.
So hi, is it okay if I go? I'm not sure what's the order here. Are we supposed to go via
Yeah,
the
sure.
queue?
And then afterwards we have Samira with her hand raised. So sure.
So my name is Swati Chaturvedi. I'm the CEO of PropelX. It's an online investment platform. We connect investors with startups, very specifically deep tech startups. Quick question here. Do you have commercial kind of projects right now that are ongoing? Have you already earned revenues on that?
So what we've been doing in the past is kind of more traditional automation. So kind of like conveyor belts, ASRS sorters. This is our first commercial launch into robotics and automation. So to answer the question, no. But it's, again, this is kind of launched as of March, so very early for us.
Right. So then my question is this, to what extent are you able to customize this?
It's 100% configurable. So the systems that we showed in the video, those are just kind of ones that we thought would be a good starting point. That was a 2-trailer based system for the mobile warehouse. We can have that down to 1. We could have more trailers. It's entirely configurable. We basically custom make all of the racking. The robots are robotic partners. We don't manufacture those, but we can move more products with more robots. Or if you have little space, we can only use 1 robot. Entirely configurable.
All right, thank you.
In addition to that, the bins you saw in the video too, we can make those smaller, bigger, entirely configurable. Yeah.
Great, thanks. And sorry.
Is there a pick and pack, like, is there a pick capability with alongside that or not?
Yeah, so the video went probably quick. We do have 6-axis robot arms. So the AGV will bring a bin of materials, let's just say pens. And if 5 pens are needed for an order, those arms will pick up 5 pens and place them into a final kit. And the vision-based system on the arm knows what the certain material is supposed to look like. So it will, if it sees a pencil versus a pen, it'll know not to pick up that pencil and pick up the pen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. And Samira?
Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Samira. I'm a founder of Raw Lab Dead Ventures. So we, at this moment, syndicate and we're raising 100 million fund. My question for you is, how far are you guys at this moment? Oh, we invest, by the way, in Web3 and deep tech. How far are you guys? I mean, just could you give us a little bit of the finance? So who backed you guys up so far? And what are you looking for, actually? What is the intention for having this call with us? So I would love to learn that. Are you looking for investments, partnerships? What you guys are looking for at this moment?
Kind of all of the above. So I don't know if you were here for the first part. The company overall has been in business for 40 plus years. We install basically traditional material handling equipment. All of that revenue has been kind of put into this new venture of robotics. So it's all been self-funded. Right now, kind of the biggest thing we are looking for is those initial customers to purchase or take on one of these systems, really to kind of show proof of concept that it's out there in the market. Because right now, all we have is the demo products within our facility. As far as investments, I think that's something we're definitely interested in looking into, especially because these systems weren't cheap to design and build. So that's something that I think we would definitely be interested in speaking about.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Awesome. So that's actually all the time we have right now, Matt. But if you want to put your information in the chat, that would be fantastic. And thank you so much for your pitch.
Thanks, everyone.
And great. And with that, we'll move on to our next pitch, which is Edmund Scientific. We have John here to present.
So everyone can see my screen?
Yep.
Hi, I'm John. I'm the founder, head cook and bottle washer at Edmund Scientific. And today I'm just going to talk a little bit about one of our R&D efforts is in signal processing for compact, closely coupled, multiple input, multiple output antenna arrays. We also can do single input, single output. I'll talk a little bit about why that's important. So the challenge is, as you put lots of antennas, miniature radar antennas onto vehicles, whether they're ground vehicles, UAVs, or whatever, you get a lot of interference, what's called close coupling between the antennas. It reduces performance, it reduces gain, it reduces accuracy, and be able to do angle of arrival detection, ranging. So what we've been doing for the few years is signal processing algorithms to reduce the effects and to preserve array performance. The research is based upon some research we've done for the Army Research Lab to optimize coupling with a couple different ways. The ask, you'll find we're looking for commercialization partners to incorporate the algorithms into existing SysOMIMO products, and for non-equity investors or equity investors, really, for limited duration and long-term partnerships for this and some of our other R&D. So let's get into it a little bit more. So these algorithms, it's funny, I always set a timer and then forget to turn it on. These algorithms are AI-based, and it's designed, again, you have the lobes of all these antennas on a UAV or in the front of a car, which actually, I also failed to say, this is a Tesla MIMO. So all the autonomous vehicles are really going to multiple input, multiple output antennas. So if you can imagine, you've got 4 antennas on this one little chip, which is where you're trying to get into the issue of interference and interference reduction. So how it's done is an external coupling network. So if you, for those of us who studied physics back many years ago, did wave tanks, if you remember, as waves go out, it has an interference pattern between multiple sources, multiple transmitters. It creates an interference pattern. And so what this basically does is create a nulling effect with an external coupling network, which is measuring the coupling and counteracting it and nulling it. It doesn't matter how many antennas you're talking about, 2, 4, and the problem is when you're co-locating these antennas, I mean, these things are a few inches across at this point. You've got traditional array processing algorithms that for angle of arrival estimation and beamforming that don't work. How this technology kind of manifests itself. So for we've been running the scientific services program for the Army Research Lab for a few years now. And this was spawned from one of our efforts that we had. You can imagine you have multiple UAVs or multiple ground vehicles or multiple antennas on any of these UAVs or ground vehicles. We're able to do beam forming, shifting of the beam shaping, and to be able to jam threat systems in one particular axis while nulling out the interference for the friendlies. These distributed antenna arrays, are able to then, improve not just the performance of the friendly systems, but also disrupt the performance of threat systems. And in multi-robot networking, you're able to develop a mesh network with beam forming and beam shaping and a lot more accurate. The applications, UAS and autonomous ground vehicles, you've got higher signal processing for more than 2 located MIMO antennas, improves all weather performance, angle resolution, and object classification. One of the earlier presentations used a pixelated approach, so you're able to actually get more resolution in some of that pixelation. And it improves resiliency from interference because you're have multiple antennas that are operating in a cooperative fashion. All the new car radar are going MIMO. You have the Internet of Everything to everything. And so, as you can imagine, how many antennas are now on your vehicles now, it's just going to increase. You are able to improve performance in all weather, improve range and detection, and angle resolution, and improve resiliency from interference, because I can tell you that with all these antennas going on the highways, you're just going to get more and more interference as everyone's operating in essentially the same band. Where are we? So we're at about a TRL3 right now. That's a technology readiness level 3. We're still doing lab scale development and testing. We're generating traction, and we're looking to secure tier 1 commercialization partners. Hello, Joe Epstein from Lockheed Martin. Joe is one of our partners in Lockheed Martin on a SATCOM, laser SATCOM effort that I'll talk about here in the end. And we're just looking to move through the original product development roadmap through kind of traditional TRL and maturation with manufacturing readiness level maturation. Who we are? That's me. I've been in operational test and evaluation and commercial software development for too long. Dr. Ed Schaefer is the former chair of the DoD Energy and Power Community of Interest. He was the former division chief at ARL, Army Research Lab for Engineering and Power, and the branch chief for radar and electronic warfare. And Dr. Rich Kosick is a electrical engineer specialized in AI signal processing, member of the technical staff at AT&T Bell Labs for signal and array processing for communications, radar, and stuff like that. Who we are as a company. So I like to say I haven't been bored since I was 7 years old, because I get to work with these amazing people that pretend like I'm doing the science, and work with people like yourselves in trying to bring some of these efforts to the market. This is currently in a proposal. This is a multi-hop covert communications and routings in extremely heterogeneous networks. So the idea is, and actually for space networks, ground networks, as one node goes down from interference or natural causes, we're able to basically automatically hop the communications to other nodes. The effort focuses on covert communications. So that means LPI is a low probability of intercept. That means you have communications or signal processing where someone's able to detect it, but you're looking to just be resilient against an attack. What we're doing now is LPD, or low probability detection, meaning we're able to distribute signals and do the beam shaping so that the communications, active communications, are not even detected. The all-weather laser SATCOM, that's a phase 2 effort we have with AFWorks right now. As I mentioned, we have Lockheed Martin and Joe Epstein as a partner on that. We're still doing lab testing. We just got finished doing some baseline stuff. We're doing fog and rain attenuation measurements in the lab next. And then we're going to be working with either Chesapeake Test Range or the Cape Canaveral Range that's not run by UCF to do outdoor range testing up to about 5 kilometers and looking for bit error rate losses and attenuation in rain and fog. And the one that we're just finishing now, or finishing the first year, is a autonomous robotic systems network in healthcare with customized AI sensors and payloads. So we have LiDAR and ultra-wideband radar integration with personalized AI algorithms to detect gait detection, irregularity in gait, and other kind of things for long-term care, chronic condition monitoring using contact and non-contact means. So what does that mean is, instead of sticking a bunch of electrodes and sensors on patients that are in long-term care, we're able to collect things that might detect aneurysms or degenerative heart and lung conditions over time, with 500 data points collected every 30 minutes from the system that we prototyped. You can imagine the freedom that it gives to someone walking around their home for aging in place, or for long-term care facilities like nursing homes and community living centers and stuff like this. So that these pictures were actually the demonstration that we just got finished doing down in Orlando about a week ago. And that brings me to 2.5 minutes or so remaining, Brian. And I like your haircut.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. You won best pitch in my book, to that compliment. Anyway, so opening the floor to questions on Han Kao.
Right, Han here. How you doing, John? A great presentation. I actually really admire your team's effort here. This is great, actually. Yeah. The fact that you actually making difference in from covert communication to healthcare. So great. Just a quick 2 questions. Number one, how much are of your technology under ITAR restriction?
Yeah. So we have classifications of allies A, B, and C, and most of the stuff is not yet been classified. Some of the radar stuff is the covert communications is obviously ITAR restricted, but South Korea is an ally that I think falls under maybe category B. And so that would be one of the things that, you work through the regular country case managers and FMS case managers and stuff like that for releasability.
Have you talked to anybody in the perspective, you mean? Or in the respect? Or?
No, just, this stuff is transitioning from the Army Research Lab and from Air Force Research Lab into a more of a commercialization pathway. Like I said, we're about TRL 3. We're expecting to be 4 or 5 by the time we finish lab testing, moving to actual testing in a simulated environment. Right. So at that point, I think we'll be able to start focusing a little bit more on releasability and that kind of stuff.
Thank you. Also, good luck to you. Great work.
Yep, thank you. Thanks.
John. So I see someone in the Q&A asked, what frequency do you primarily work with regarding the MIMO?
Brian,
antenna.
Brian, your audio is broken. Can you repeat that, please?
Sure. I was asking about the frequency you work with a MIMO antenna.
Yeah, so a lot of the ground vehicle coupling is in the VHF lower frequency ranges, but it does go UHF. We haven't yet been exploring some of the higher frequency stuff, but there's in the millimeter wave range, but that's the technology, the signal processing is really frequency agnostic. What I was just describing in terms of the frequencies of things that we've been modeling and developing, but the technology is really agnostic to what bandwidth you're in. And here's the nice part. It works with whatever products are commercially available now. So, you know, we're not looking to supplant anyone's supply chain or disrupt anyone's market share. This stuff is really just software and smarts that go into your current systems to make them a little bit more higher performing and a little more resilient.
Awesome, that's great. That's actually all the time we have, though. So
thanks, everybody.
So much for your pitch, and please leave your contact info in the chat.
I will.
With that, we will move on to our next presentation, which is Knightscope. And we have Bill here to present.
All right. Hey, Brian. Good to see you.
Likewise.
All right. My name is Bill Lee. I'm the chairman and CEO of Knightscope, and appreciate all of you taking the time today. Greetings from Silicon Valley. So we've accomplished what we were told was not possible 11 years ago, to scale up a business around autonomous security robots. And our long-term mission is to see if we can make the United States of America the safest country in the world. So what we've been looking at is perhaps in comparison to the military, our 2+ million soldiers get every level of capability you might ever imagine. And there's a very nice but expensive and time-consuming process to innovate, and all kinds of crazy, awesome widgets come out the other side to give a tremendous amount of capability to a soldier in a theater of war at their fingertips. We unfortunately, as a country, do not do that for the 2.5 million law enforcement officers and security guards on our own soil. So for the last 11 years, we've been building a set of technologies, a unique combination of autonomy, robotics, AI, and electric vehicle technology to give officers and guards really smart eyes, ears, and voice on the ground, as well as a physical deterrence for them to be able to do their jobs much more effectively. Roughly speaking, everything that's on the left-hand side of the screen is in production, and everything on the right-hand side is in development or in concept stage. And so I'm going to walk you through a little bit of that. And again, the idea here is not only to provide a physical deterrence, but long-term to put 1 million machines in network that can see, feel, hear, smell, speak, and autonomously cooperate. Probably the one that is most famous, that's been patrolling across the country. We've now done well over 3 million hours, fully autonomous, I guess automotive equivalent of level 5, completely remote control, running 24/7, 365 across the country in multiple time zones, and way too many winters and way too many summers. But we primarily operate outdoors, and these machines are at anywhere you might see a security guard or an officer patrolling. We might be at a park, could be a warehouse, distribution center, manufacturing facility, multi-level story parking structures, lots of casinos and lots of healthcare facilities, et cetera. And we're starting to grow significantly, and our subscription model is working. We've had renewals for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, even 8 years. So we're grateful for our clients, and we've been able to actually have measurable results on the right-hand side of having a positive impact on reducing negative and or criminal activity at the places people live, work, study, and visit. Some of the places that we're looking to grow next, we've primarily been business to business and now starting to add numerous law enforcement agencies, and went through a rather nightmarish 3-year process to get through a nightmare cybersecurity review with the U.S. federal government, and finally got our authority to operate, or ATO, earlier this year. And we have now deployed our first K5 Gov at a VA hospital in Texas. And now we're starting to look for and grow for opportunities throughout the federal space. And I guess one big lesson learned from having been out in the field for so long, I think a lot of operators and senior decision makers like to put the shiny new object in the most prominent area possible. And that is not what should be doing. Should be looking at the most boring, ridiculous, dumb job that a human shouldn't be doing out in the cold, and putting these machines there so they can remotely monitor the area and redeploying those same human resources to more poignant locations. And so there's, we believe, a multi-billion-dollar opportunity just in the federal space, and we're just getting started there. The next thing we're working on is, so by way of background, I'm a former Ford Motor Company executive, and I believe autonomy and self-driving technology is going to turn the world completely upside down. I'm just in violent disagreement as to the path to commercialize said technology. I think you need to crawl, walk, run, and what we've been doing is crawling for the last few years just to get, 1 to 3 miles an hour to work consistently 24/7, across the country, in the rain, in the snow, with the client down your throat, and be able to operate this, which, by the way, technologically is very difficult, but operating this in the field is extremely difficult. But now that we've gotten our bearings there, we're working on the K7 that we should have a beta prototype of this running next year and start taking some pre-orders for the K7. And this is a 4-wheel version of our technology to handle slightly more difficult terrain, gravel, dirt, sand, perimeter of an airport, for 8 miles, or along the border or a military base, to handle much higher speeds, maybe 10 to 15 miles an hour. And once we get that sorted out, then we can work on highway and city speeds, and that's the crawl, walk, run. Unfortunately, a lot of folks decided that autonomy, we're going to go try to solve the most technologically difficult problem first, which is to put a 4,000-pound unmanned vehicle on a public road with no regulatory framework, no insurance framework, no safety framework, no insurance framework. But Mr. and Mrs. Engineer, you need to make sure it works 100% of the time on the first go. And that, frankly, is a dumb engineering assignment. That's the aerospace equivalent of going to Pluto first and not wanting to stop over at the moon and Mars beforehand. And so probably 200 companies now, a couple $100 billion have gone down the tube trying to get all this stuff to work, and no one's been able to ship anything at scale. On the security robot side, 3 major corporations and 3 funded startups have also tried the same. All have failed. So we're last man standing, or like last robot standing, and we're excited to finally get through that. And to finish this up, let's just share a little bit kind of more fun stuff for the future after the K7's out the door. So we've identified some common components that might be of interest for us for a K10 patrol vehicle. So imagine a city needs to run a patrol 24/7 across an entire city. 2 officers, fuel, vehicle, equipment, maintenance, etc. That's literally over $1 million a year just to run one patrol. And then that's the K10. This K15, a little bit more fun. Unmanned ground vehicles, unmanned aerial vehicles, and some quadrupeds that could be on patrol autonomously to get to a scene well in advance of the humans arriving there, to give the tactical team technology much more quickly at their fingertips. We also have on the stationary side of things, I know this is around autonomy, but On the stationary side of things, we have nearly 10,000 stationary devices across the country, and now we're looking at developing the next generation K1 blue light super tower. So one of the best disinfectants for crime is light. So to have a solar powered street light with automated gunshot detection, facial recognition, license plate recognition, a display, and obviously a help button, I think will be very helpful for a lot of communities. So if you want to learn more about Nightscope, you can download the feature at nightscope.com/rise. And the ask that we have is we're scaling up in the US only. So if you have a corporate campus, a warehouse, abandoned military base or active military base, logistics facility, basically if you have budget for an officer or guard to be patrolling, would love to chat with you, and I will put my contact info in the chat. And so with that, happy to take any and all questions.
Great, thanks so much, Bill. So yes, opening the floor to questions. If anybody has a question, just raise your hand on Zoom. And it's under the reactions or the react function, which might be found under your more section on Zoom. On the bottom of your screen is 3 dots. Anyway, so we have a question from Han and Connie. So Han raised his hand first. So Han.
Alrighty. Oh, thank you. Hey, William, great presentation, and you have a great product right there. And congratulations to your ATO, by the way. I know the process is probably how long did it take for you to get it? Just curious. About 2 years?
3 years and seven figures plus.
Wow, that's a big congratulations there. So what did your ask here? Just wanna, I mean, you have a great product and solutions here. So I just wanna see if I can help you in any way.
Yes.
You know?
So we're publicly traded on NASDAQ. The ticker's KSCP. Obviously, as an officer of a publicly traded company, I'm not soliciting investments or anything like that, but you can go take a look at the stock if you'd like. Primarily, our ask here is there are numerous, major corporations, folks with large real estate footprints here. And so we're looking for sales opportunities to sell the technology is the first ask. We are applying to some kind of federal contracting opportunities to do further R&D, some stuff that I didn't cover. And the idea here long term is we believe there's an opportunity to build a $30 billion company that weirdly looks like a defense contractor. But instead of focusing solely on the Department of Defense, is to focus on the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, the 19,000 law enforcement agencies, and 8,000 private security firms. What's very different, the DoD has the Secretary of Defense is one person in charge, and kind of runs the show. But that doesn't really happen on the security and law enforcement side. It's like literally there's no one in charge. Someone shoots up a school or whatever, no one gets fired. Every chief and sheriff has their own budget. There's no major innovation process or strategy to develop any new technology. So we thought to take it upon ourselves and our 35,000 investors to force this to happen.
And are you doing any business with overseas, any chance yet? Or
no, some people love this answer, some people hate it. I've worked on 4 continents. I know what it takes. If it was a software app, it'd be one thing, but the likelihood of a BTE or business terminate event by going off thinking that the American solution is going to work perfectly in the Philippines or in India or elsewhere is just foolish. So what I've told my board and I've told everyone publicly is once we're across the entire US, we've succeeded in achieving our mission of making it the safest country in the world, and we have $500 million of cash on hand and nothing else to do, at that time, we're happy to look outside the US.
Yeah, because I mean, they're kind of similar product already out there in use. So I'm sure
there's been a few in Singapore has tried, China has tried, but very, very low volumes. No one's been able to get this to scale for real.
All right, okay, great. Next, maybe
I think I know this person. Connie. It's been like a decade.
I know. I just wanted to say hello, and it's good to see you and all the progress you've made. I can't believe it. I remember when you first started and you were
At Plug and Play.
So that's where I'm from. I'm VP of Corporate Partnerships now. I work with Jackie, who I know is very involved with you. Why are you not here? We need to have you present at our next summit. And when we have all our corporate partners, and we're doing a lot now in deep tech and defense. So both the civilian side and the military side. So just love it. And I'm just jazzed that you're doing so well. And thank you for presenting. And let's
Thanks, Connie.
connect.
That would be fun. We'll do a whole like boomerang, come back to the old stomping grounds.
Exactly. Yeah. And so congratulations.
Thank you,
And
Connie.
we'll
I
talk.
appreciate it. Yes. Shoot me a note.
Awesome. So that's actually all the time we have, Bill, but thank you so much. And feel free to leave your contact info in the chat.
I will. I will.
And
thanks, everybody.
Sure. Thank you. And with that, we'll move on to our next presentation, which is distributed spectrum. And we have Jason here. Jason, did you still need me to share your screen?
I sure do, Brian. I'm in my car on Andrews Air Force Base, so if you could do me that favor, I'd very much appreciate it.
We're happy to help. A moment. All right. Do you see my screen?
I do. There we go.
Sure. Forgive me for any lag that might happen when you say next slide. So,
Not a
anyway,
problem. I very much appreciate it. So, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. I'm Jason Kirby. I'm with Distributed Spectrum. We do RF signals intelligence. It's an electronic warfare capability. We're receiving a tremendous amount of interest as of late for this type of technology. So, conducting edge compute of radio frequency signals, characterizing those at the edge, and providing real-time indications and warnings to operators and to operation centers as well. Next slide. So the problem that we're addressing, and we're focusing on a slightly different customer base than we've typically seen in the defense sector for electronic warfare type capabilities, is for operators that are in the field. And we do quite a bit of work with the Army as well as Special Operations and the Air Force. They don't have any kind of real-time situational awareness of the RF transmissions that are occurring around them. We've been working on that problem set, and now with the ability to provide edge compute with an operator directly and characterize those signals within about 2 to 3 seconds, we're able to provide them with real-time indications and warnings of threats. So I think we've all witnessed in the Ukraine conflict that on both for the Russians and for the Ukrainians, that RF and electronic warfare type activities have now become preeminent as a targeting methodology for identifying operators and moving towards kinetic solutions on the battlefield. So that's where we've kind of come into play to address that issue for operators that have very little RF training whatsoever, but need to be aware of what's occurring in the spectrum at all times around them. Next slide. So the capability that we've developed, as you see here on the left, that's the pucks that you see there. I'll show you the actual sensor and what it looks like here in just a moment. But small form factor, low cost. We can buy the actual pieces of hardware for this solution for about $2,000 on Amazon. But it's the software itself and the machine learning algorithm that truly makes the difference here. In terms of that capability. We're agnostic to the hardware that we're supported on. We're in conversations now with the Army for capability at the enterprise level where our software is running 1,000 times over. And for terabytes of, say, signal information, having that all processed Essentially, if you can envision this at the top of the funnel, where a whole variety of signals are being processed, and when our system in the ML algorithm identifies a signal of interest, those more expensive, exquisite systems that go for around 150,000 or 200,000 a piece can then do more detailed analysis of that signal. But that's at the operational level, but we extend down to the tactical level as well. So as you see in the central depiction there, if you have 50 or 100 of these sensors arrayed across an area of responsibility, which we did recently with the Air Force in upstate New York, you'll be able to see the location of all of those sensors and the signals of interest that are occurring right around those sensors as well, and having that depicted on a centralized display, a common operating picture back in a tactical operations center. We've completed our Android Tactical Awareness Kit integration. So for those operators in the field, when there is a threat, I'll give you an example. If you're approaching a building and you don't know what is inside that building, it could be empty, there could be civilians inside, or the adversary could be inside. If the enemy gets on their radios and starts communicating to each other that the Americans are here, you as an operator will get that warning in 2 seconds on the Android device, and then can take appropriate action from that standpoint. Next slide. So in terms of the use cases, as you see in the upper left-hand corner, that depiction, these are intended to be low cost, including left behind sensors that can be emplaced and continue to collect and characterize signals. The actual characterization occurs for every single signal that the sensor detects. And that characterization is comprised of a very small amount of data, about 60 kilobits of data. That data can then be backhauled over a tactical network, an Iridium network, even cellular and Wi-Fi in urban areas, and then centralized, like I mentioned to you a moment ago. We're also doing airborne integrations as well, and those contracts have been awarded, and that will provide the ability to maneuver with a drone and be able to do a variety of follow-on actions on a signal or the transmitter or the operator, the adversarial operator that has that system. We're looking towards doing airdrop, as you see there in the lower left-hand corner, but we've not initiated that. But what we have done is integrated these sensors on board maritime buoys, where they collect signals, in fact, submerge and then also resurface at a later time, do a survey of the environment, and then turn off and go back underwater once again. Again, any hardware form factor works fine for us as long as we have a GPU level compute capability. Next slide. In terms of the capability, the sensors you see there, that's a low-cost sensor that could be emplaced and left behind. We do work on a licensing model, either annualized or on a perpetual license. So if you leave behind a sensor, once that sensor stops working at some point in the future, the license can simply be transferred. This is the more man-portable version of the sensor. So in here is an NVIDIA Jetson GPU. At this price point, this is first to market, and we're taking actual delivery. This is actually a 3D printed mock-up. The first ones went to customers, and then we're going to receive an additional shipment of those in about 2 weeks. So here you've got an edge compute capability on an operator using comparatively low power consumption that's giving that real-time indications and warning, not just to that operator, but everybody else that is on their tactical network. In the center, the software interface is simple. This is a user-friendly interface. This is not a signals intelligence interface that you would see for a very sophisticated operator that's been trained as their full-time job within the military. This is a software interface intended for people with limited amount of RF and EW training. And as I mentioned, the algorithms are very flexible. Next slide. In terms of the company, we've had a very successful year. We've had a number of contracts awarded very recently. One was a SBIR Phase 2 coming out of, we were successfully awarded out of the Army X-Tech Search competitive process. The other three contracts are not SBIRs, and so we're moving very quickly towards integration on a variety of form factors at both the enterprise level down to the tactical level as well. And then expect to be transitioning to program of record by FY26, so in approximately 12 months from now. Next slide. In terms of the company, three founders, all Harvard engineer graduates, founded the company and had been working on the capabilities since, like I mentioned, 2020, with prior work done at Raytheon. You see our customers that are listed there, very focused on Air Force, the Army, as well as the SOCOM components, and performing for those customers now with this capability. So looking for other DoD customers that have a need for RF and electronic warfare capabilities at a different scale than previously we've seen with just a few very limited number of operators. So with that, I believe that may be the last slide at this point, but I'll take any questions that you have.
Great. Thank you so much, Jason. So yeah, opening the floor to questions. Just feel free to raise your hand using the using the React function. People could also write in the chat if they would like. But Jason, if you just want to talk a little bit more about, I mean, do you have commercial use cases as well, or is it only government use cases?
I also wanted to ask, what are the civilian use cases, if any, and do you have it in deployment at any commercial sites which are civilian?
We have several, as a matter of fact. So for the commercial use cases, that would include monitoring RF emissions inside a building. So working on implementing sensors within a building to identify transmissions. So say you're working in a sensitive area where there shouldn't be any transmissions at all. These are passive systems that simply collect on the environment. They're not actively transmitting to query devices, but there's been a lot of interest by a number of companies as well in monitoring sensitive activities in certain areas. The other area we've seen also is counter drone. We can detect drone transmissions as well as part of the spectrum. We're scanning from 30 megahertz up to 6 gigahertz across that spectrum. So for spectating events where there's the potential for a drone threat, this is a detection system that can be used to identify unauthorized drone activity in the vicinity of, say, spectating events.
Thank you.
Great. There's also a question about
I'm sorry, Brian, can you say that again?
Sure. The question is, how do you deploy the sensors over a large geographical area?
It could be a variety of different ways. That could be either man-portable sensors. They could be integrated onto drones, which we've already done previously. They could also be deployed by aircraft, which we've not done as of yet, for dispersal over an area, say, in the Indo-Pacific region as well. Or they can be emplaced by operators and left behind.
Awesome. So that might be all the time we have, actually. But Jason, I'll put your contact info in the chat, so people could reach out to you after this event. If they want to learn. Just a moment. But thank you so much, Jason. It was a great as always.
Thanks, Brian.
Sure. With that, of the day. So thank you for making this event a success. So huge thank you to all the companies for your fantastic pitches and your amazing technologies, taking the time to pitch. And also huge thank you to all the panelists who stayed with us for either the entirety of the event or joined for any of the sessions. Thank you for contributing to this event, and thank you for taking the time. And thank you to the audience for everybody who joined us. So that, again, that's it for today's event. Definitely feel free to join us in our upcoming event. It's the Space Showcase, scheduled for October 22nd. And yeah, and in general, if not that one, hopefully you join one of our future events. So again, huge thank you to everybody, and have a great rest of your day. And yeah, hopefully we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thanks.